We're going back to basics because food is expensive, and this is my last-ditch effort to use these leftover biscuits. Time and time again, I find myself trying to be creative with the ingredients I have on hand simply to avoid wasting food. No part of me actually thought that this recipe would work out, but I also remembered that French toast is incredibly forgiving. For whatever reasons, over the last year and a half, my kids have become completely enamored with French toast. We've done it with leftover pancakes, we typically do it with brioche bread, and honestly, I think it would be sacrilege if we used a regular sandwich bread at this point. If you've heard me mention this once, you've probably heard me mention this more than once, that our family is a homeschool family now. We live in an excellent school district in a really cool neighborhood, but I really wanted to be home with the kids because they have different needs. I feel sometimes like it's been an uphill battle, from people's opinions that they absolutely have to share with me, to the cost associated with homeschooling, from the time management skills or lack thereof that we seem to possess as a family, and for the things I didn't consider before taking this endeavor on again. During the pandemic, we decided to pull our eldest boy out of traditional school because I didn't want him on screens all day. I was not a fan of the rest of his school year when he had to e-learn, despite the efforts the school and teachers made. I also had the privilege of already being home and was taking care of two littles, and it didn't seem like it was going to fit for our lives to have two small children screaming in the background while my eldest boy had to try and learn all day, with said babies in the background screaming. While the idea of homeschool was exciting, it was a lot easier back then because we weren't going anywhere. I had no appointments. I had no conventions. I was a stay-at-home content creator blogger who was raising her family. Now we find ourselves in a new season. Everything is open. All of the kids know how to read, write, do a little bit of math, and we have a giant TV with Fortnite and Minecraft at our fingertips. I tend to think that no matter how hard I work and no matter how much we do, our very untraditional way of schooling children just feels so untraditional. And yes, I know that's the point, but it doesn't stop that heavy ache I feel for things being a little bit different than I had hoped. I don't typically feel a level of success. And no, I don't mean for this to sound so bleak, because I'm really grateful that I have the opportunity to stay home. Because while I can feel like things are not successful, there's proof from me looking at the kids to know that it is. More times than not, my kids were anxious wrecks at school. They'd come home overstimulated, they'd scream and fight a lot more or break down. And most days, I only saw them for a very short period of time. While I do think the public school system and private school system works really well for families who need it, we made a heavy decision to do things differently so that we could enjoy a different outcome. If my kids were in school, I promise you, I would not have attempted this meal. But one of the biggest things that I didn't realize when they were going to start homeschooling is that they're eating us out of house and home. Thankfully, our slow mornings and our free and creative, very untraditional school days have allowed us time to be more creative. And while I don't think my kids would have eaten something like this a year ago, they've gotten used to me trying new recipes out. And those picky little eaters are becoming more curious about different kinds of flavors, textures, and food overall. I think this recipe is kind of the perfect representation of where our lives are now. And no, I don't just mean carb heavy and super sweet, more like we're just gonna wing it and hope for the best. Because that's all many of us can really do. So go find your old biscuits. We have meals to make.